I never thought a simple moment on my ranch would turn into the kind of story that keeps me awake at night, replaying every detail in my head. But the truth is that everything changed the day my Apache neighbor stood on my porch wearing a bright turquoise dress and asked me if it suited her. And all I could say was that I could not look away. The look she gave me afterward still burns in my mind. I need someone to tell me if I was wrong for how everything unfolded, because I genuinely do not know anymore. Would you have said something different if you were in my place? It started a few months before that strange afternoon. I had moved to a quiet stretch of land in Arizona after inheriting my grandfather's ranch. The land was old and stubborn, filled with dust and memories, and the nearest neighbor lived almost a mile away, a woman named Tala. She was Apache, quiet, and sharper than anyone I had ever met. I first saw her when she rode past the fence line on her horse, nodding at me like she already knew who I was. Over the next few weeks, we built a strange but comfortable friendship. Some days, she would show up with herbs or handmade bread. Other days, she would help me repair broken fence panels without saying a word about it. She carried an energy that felt older than the desert itself, calm but powerful. I never pushed her for details about her life, and she never pushed me about mine. As the months passed, we talked more. She told me about her family, her traditions, and the struggle of watching parts of her culture fade as the world around her grew louder and faster. I listened because something about her voice made even the wind seem quieter. I'd never been good at reading people, but with her I always felt like she saw right through me, like she knew my thoughts even when I tried to hide them. And somewhere along the way, I started caring more than I meant to, though I never admitted it out loud. Then came the day everything shifted. I was cleaning tools near the barn when I heard footsteps on the porch. When I looked up, there she was standing in this flowing turquoise dress with beadwork across the front. It was nothing like the clothes she usually wore. Her expression was unreadable as she asked me, "Does this dress suit me?" I froze. Part of me knew she was asking something deeper than the words she spoke. And before I could stop myself, I said, "I cannot look away." The moment the words left my mouth, I felt the weight of them crash down. She inhaled sharply and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen on her before, something between surprise and hurt. For a long second, neither of us said anything. I tried to backtrack, tried to explain that I meant it as a compliment, but she turned away quickly and walked down the steps without another word. That night I barely slept. I kept wondering if I had crossed some boundary, if I had said something disrespectful without realizing it. The next morning, she did not show up like she usually did. The day after that, she did not ride past the ranch at all. A week went by, and the silence between us grew heavier than the heat. So that was the situation I found myself in. I had to decide whether to confront her or leave things alone. Before I tell you what I chose to do next, I want you to pause and tell me what you would have done if you were standing in my boots. Would you have gone to her and tried to fix things, or would you have waited for her to make the first move? After almost 2 weeks of silence, I could not take it anymore. I saddled my horse and rode toward her home along the winding trail that led through a patch of dry pines. When I arrived, her aunt met me at the gate. She said Tala did not want to see me. Hearing that felt like a punch to the chest. I asked if I had offended her, and after a long pause, her aunt explained that in their culture, certain kinds of compliments carried deeper meaning than I understood. Tala had taken my words as something intimate, something binding, something I may not have been ready to offer. I insisted I wanted to speak to her anyway, and after a while Tala stepped out. She would not look at me at first, but eventually I told her everything exactly. What I meant, exactly what I felt, and exactly how confused I had been. Since she walked away, she listened without interrupting. When I finally finished, she stepped closer and said the dress belonged to her mother, who had passed away, and she had not worn it in years. She chose that day to wear it because she trusted me enough to show a softer part of herself. My reaction had overwhelmed her because she thought I was saying something bigger than I intended. The air between us shifted after that. We talked for hours until the sun dropped behind the hills. We were honest, maybe more honest than either of us had been before. Things did not magically fix themselves, but we found a new understanding, one that felt steadier than before. She eventually smiled again and told me she was not angry anymore, just surprised by how fast everything happened. Looking back, I still do not know if I handled that moment the right way. What I do know is that it taught me how important understanding truly is, how easy it is to hurt someone without meaning to, and how powerful words can become when spoken to the right person.